We also want to spend about 5 minutes and just tell you about what's on the website and why you might be interested in it. And it's a question of instructional value. What could you do with this website? Well, here's a few of the things. The information is there. Managing in a transition. There's a lot about disruptive innovation, prioritizing resources, et cetera. One of the obvious things to do, if you're teaching media management, for example, is to have people look at have each person in the class look at each newspaper and come in and do a little presentation about what they find and see the differences. Just in our conversations this morning with Barry and Robert, we heard a lot of differences between these two newspapers and how they're approaching these issues. Another obvious place to go, resource here on this website is media ethics. We asked every editor we talked to, do you have a code of ethics? How do you manage that code of ethics? Do you have an online code of ethics? How do you manage that? And then we talked to them all about anonymous postings on their website. And of course, that is a subject that is ripe for discussion. You know, we finally had one say, we just don't put them up. It was the Jackson, Wyoming newspaper. So if we looked at them, we just decided we didn't want them up there because they destroy the credibility of the newspaper. Well, it's a very simple and direct approach. But most people are putting these comments up, and they're managing them in many different ways. Some are banning comments on certain kind of stories. That's interesting to see. Others are allowing the readership to take that job. So that's a big issue. News media practices. You know, how are people reporting the news now? The basic skill sets. Well, all you have to do is look at their 5+ enterprise stories of the year, and you have great examples there of all kinds of material. And a lot of it's multimedia, as well as the obvious reporting part. So there's plenty of discussion about that. The story of the newspaper, so the history's up there. Every newspaper talking about how it became to be what it is. It's fascinating to see some of these owners talking. Frank Bletham sitting there talking about the Seattle Times, which almost went bankrupt about 1.5 years ago. And he's very frank about it. It's very amazing to hear him talk about this. There's a number of owners we have. The Las Vegas Sun, I can think off the top of my head, the Bergen Record, et cetera. And I think, again, just hearing these people talk in their own words, you know, it's very fascinating to remember that there are human beings behind all these institutions. And so the values that they have and their commitment and their willingness to try things and their energy, I mean, it's all important in this formula. We were talking yesterday with Eric Newton about this, and you know, what will protect the newspaper of the future and all of the online work, and from my perspective, it's the soul of the journalist. The soul of the journalist is what protects this industry. You know, it's the things that we know, the ethics standards we have, the practices that we will agree to, and at the end of the day, we're the ones who are responsible for it. And there's plenty of career role models. Again, you can see these people. Take some time on the interviews or allow your students to do it, and I think they'll meet some fascinating people. One of the things we started doing about 10 in, so we didn't do it in Arkansas, unfortunately, but in Dayton, it suddenly came to my, I suddenly thought of this idea, and that was to ask each journalist to give us an anecdote. Just give us one anecdote of when the power and purpose of journalism became clear to you. And each one of these is fascinating. And none of them runs more than 3 minutes. Here is a very, very powerful one. It came from the owner and publisher of the Afro-American, and you'll see what I mean.
When I was a kid, my father, who was president of this paper, with his cousin, who was the chairman, and his other cousins who were all around him, when he retired as president, he had an old world perspective of what this paper was supposed to be about. When I was 5, 6, or 7 years old, I couldn't understand, why is this paper called Afro? Why are we only writing about black people? I don't understand, and I don't like it. Until Carl Murphy ran the picture of Emmett Till on the front. That changed my life. I just had to look at that for hours. I couldn't understand how any human being could do that to another human being. And then it dawned on me. Racism, hatred, And suddenly I realized why we had the afro.
So that pretty much speaks for itself. And we have a number of them like that. And almost all of them are instructive in some way. Things that they did when they were young reporters and learned from, so that's fascinating stuff. They're called journalist epiphanies, and they're separated on the website. So what we're looking for, and the reason we came to this convention was to see how many of you and your colleagues are interested in what we're doing. We hope you are. We've had a great time doing it because we've learned so much, and it's been fascinating. We'll write some articles about it and all of that. But to make this go forward, we're hoping that we can put together a cooperative, so-called, and work with some other universities and do some more reporting like this. We're hoping to get funds for that. So if this interests you, let us know. You can send us an email or just tell us afterwards. We're looking for teaching partners in the sense that you would think of methods of using the material, and we're looking for research partners. There's plenty of research here. There's a lot of material that can be used. We're looking for lots of other ideas so we can really make this come to life and make it useful. And if we get some funding in the future, our idea is to go around and do some more research similar to this. Go to various states, in the next case, have the university and students do this work. And I think students could frankly do a better job than we did because we only had so much time. But you can send your students to a newspaper for 3 or 4 or 5 days, have them do this research, and even write up case studies on it to make it even richer. So we're working on funding for that. We don't have it yet, but that's our goal.